Zachitika kuti zachitika nthawi zanji kodi nanga amene wapanga ndani musakhale nawo gulu lovutika ndi mphekesera ayi tapangani subscribe ku Malawi Daily Headlines lero kuti zochitika mdziko mwanu momwe zisamakuphonyeni.
Kukulandirani kuna kulikonse kumene muli pano pa Malawi Daily Headlines, ndipo ngati mwangotipeza kumene tapangani subscribe komanso like kuti update ina iliyonse isamakuphonyeni mnthawi yake. Pamene Commission of Inquiry kupitilira kufunsa mafunso a Dokani Ngwira sopano kwa maola atatu pano. Takhani pomwepo chifukwa tu mafunso amene akubwera omo ndochititsa chidwi. Takhani pomwepo kuti tithe kupitilira kumva mafunso amene a Dokani Ngwira yemwe ndi former Director General ku National Intelligence Service akuyankhira. Takhani pomwepo.
Thank you. And okay, let's move to another point for clarity as well. You mentioned that around 11 in your report, around 11 a.m. when you got a call from your officer, you immediately called the SPC. And I wanted to understand what was the reaction of the SPC when you called her?
Chair, should I correct? I don't know. But it was, I would say, shock. Because it wasn't even a long conversation, because it was like, I wanted to call you. Can we immediately leave for State House? And that was that. And then when I found them, everybody was basically shocked. Yeah, maybe let me leave it there, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I just want you to take note of the time and link with other witnesses, including Dr. Squese and indeed the Army General. But let's move forward. Another one, you mentioned that the signal was found around the tower at the Lipley because that was taken when the aircraft was flying.
Chair, I said that was my assumption, that because from Airtel, the information that came from Airtel or TNM, it was that the signal, the Airtel, the Lipley Tower had picked the signal of one of the phones. I think it was a medical officer. That is what necessitated people now to come to Chikangawa. And it was specifically the Lipley Tower.
Thank you so much. But former DG, as an intelligent person, you know that you were tracing live phones that were on that time. And I therefore, I wanted to understand how the search was targeting phones that were on then, and then how could they be tracing a phone that was maybe 2 hours or 3 later. It hardly made sense to me, Chair. And that's why I wanted your clarity, because if these phones were traced after the crash, Chair, I'm finding it difficult to understand why the signal could be found in Chikangawa. So maybe you may elaborate, Former DG.
Chair, I don't know, after the crash, I don't know where it is coming from, Chair. I don't know what you have on record, at what time was that signal picked from the technical people that came here. Maybe it's even, you can even get Airtel, because they are not in Zambia, they are here, Chair. You can get them what time. Now, about the other phones after the crash, I don't have that information.
Okay, let me get it this way. Did you start the search before the crash or before the missing?
I don't understand your question.
I'm responding to your response where you're saying you don't know. Why I'm saying after the crash. I'm saying after the crash because my assumption is the search only started when the plane was missing. And it is on record that the plane crashed at 10:16. So are you insinuating that you started the crash before 10:16? I mean the search before 10:16?
There is no way I'm insinuating that, Chair. There is no way I'm insinuating. And what time, Chair, probably your committee may have more information than you have the whole infrastructure. It's just me trying to correct what happened. What time is it on record that that signal was picked by Airtel? that led people to go to Chikangawa.
What is on record was that, and is that, this signal was picked when there was distress.
What time?
Obviously, the plane was supposed to land at about 10:02 or somewhere thereabout. And the search, from records, the search never started before 10:16. So what you're saying may be indicating a different and new item in this inquiry. No. And that's why I just wanted to understand why searching for a phone line, which is on the crash, could do, in your view, as an intelligent person, could be indicating somewhere in Chikangawa?
Chair, let me put it this way. I'm getting a bit fuzzy, and I must confess with the line of questioning. I report what we were briefed. The SPC got in touch with Mr. Sikwese, Dr. Sikwese, to get the phone numbers for everybody on board, and those phone numbers were shared with the service providers. And the service providers, when they were checking all the numbers, they on the number that they picked. I'm not too sure about the time. I've already said, for me to be recording what time, that would be it will be a futile exercise. But basically, the one of the phone numbers that picked, is the one that picked on the tower at the reply. And that is how people, when you look, if you listen even to other submissions, the search was starting at reply because of that signal. I'm not private to exactly what time that signal was picked or when the search started. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, as I wind up, Chair, I would also like to just a concern. As NIS, you are the ones mandated with intelligence information, which is critical. And in this case, I will keep referring to the former, the late VP as the number 2 VVIP. And when you were asked by one of my colleagues, I'm not sure if it's Dezagasina or Mwaza Central, about the CCTV, you mentioned that that one is under the jurisdiction of the Malawi police. But I was made to think that after a serious incident like this one, you might have developed, you were supposed to develop interest to really find out what might have happened. And therefore, you are supposed to engage the police and find out what happened using the CCTV. I think it was raised by Branta Malabada. I expected you to have mentioned something to do with what you might have gathered from the CCTVs after the crash. Did you do it?
May I respond, Chair? I have submitted, Chair, what I recollect. And I am aware that there is a lot more information on the reports that were there in the service. That's why I've even said you may engage the service. All that information is there. So because the intelligent product does not belong to a person. It belongs to the system, and this the NIS. So for me, who is out of the system, all I'm trying to recollect is what do I recollect from the critical information that I remember. Yes. What I was telling you about, it's the prerogative of the police. I'm just telling you the system at the airport, how it is, the CCTVs are managed, that they are managed by the police. So that is basic. But you engaging the intelligence, even today, they can still investigate and find out what if it was missed. The capacity is there. Thank you, Chair.
And Chair, okay, would you also comment anything on the VPs? When Madam Mary Chilima came, she mentioned that other than the phones took long to be handed over to the family, but the one phone is still missing. Are you aware of that?
Chair, I'm not aware of that.
Chair, this is quite concerning to me because the intelligent system doesn't know. It's just a concern. But maybe let's move forward.
Chair, intelligence is not an angel of God. Intelligence works with resources on the ground and information that is available. What is happening between the police and the Madam Mary Chilima, and she only mentions here, she never mentioned in the past, because it's the first time I heard when she mentioned here. And you can engage Madam Mary Yoram, she can confirm, because one witness says this, and that's a widow. And sometimes we weep and we mourn in different ways. You know, thank you very much, Chair.
The very last one, Chair. I want to understand, because from the witnesses that we've engaged with, it looks like nobody really wants to take responsibility. And with reference to their mandate. So I wanted to understand, in your what role did you play as the former DG? You were obviously expected to advise the president, including how to manage the search, how to manage events during the search after the crash. What role did you personally play in your role as DG on the day? Major things that I know you've mentioned the aspects like your involvement in the technical intelligence, covering aspects like core tower pings, satellite data, and a few more. But I wanted to understand what influence, what guidance did you give to the leadership, if at all you did something during the day of the crash? Thank you.
So let's put the president there. The president cannot be involved in the search and rescue operations. The president is only reported to. You know, between the systems of government, you know, so when you say what role, I need to share a point out here. The NIS is a system that has officers across the country, every district, every place. Now, these systems have reporting channels. They report only which they see, for the DG must know. Where the DG maybe can assist in certain decisions at a strategic level. Operationally, you know, the system was engaged fully, operationally, which some of the things me as a DG may not have to know. But as long as things worked or things didn't work, maybe that's what has to be interrogated. But NIS provided it. Even the intelligence about these conspiracies that I speak about, all that was provided to government. That government needs to watch and prepare maybe strategic communication or engaging certain stakeholders. All that was done. And the people even went to the chiefs in jail there to try to pacify them. That's where it was, you know, even discovered that a lot of damage had been done. You know, so the service was fully involved, of which I was in charge as a DG. But a DG is a strategic level. It's not an operational level. Thank you, Chair.
I get you, Chair. Just clarification, the very last one. I'll not come back. You mentioned earlier on that you had 5 teams. In each of the 6 teams, your officers were there. And that made me think you may be, I expect this to be reporting to your office through the line channels. And I wanted to understand what's in your office. What was the state of the Vice President's phone on the crash site? Do you know anything, or you were not reported to, considering that your officers were on the ground?
Chair, the IG reports to the President. The DG reports to the President. The Commander reports to the President. What is in the purview of the Commander, if the Commander is handling, if the DG is reasonable, you'll expect that it has been reported to the President or otherwise. So for me, the phones that were handed over to the IG, it had basically nothing. For me, and my understanding was that it is being kept for purposes of either investigation or maybe finally handing over to the family. So that what, and remember, as I said, when the site was cordoned off, because my officers don't declare themselves, they were not amongst those allowed to access the site. It was only the police and the military, because they were uniformed, they would know each other.
So you are suggesting your officers don't have IDs to identify themselves before the police and the army?
I said operationally it is not advisable for intelligence officers to introduce themselves.
Chair, I may have to stop there.
Yeah, let's move to the next one. I would like to recognize somebody who has not asked any question. So can I start with you, Molanje? Mulanje North, then we go to Doha Kasangazi. Okay.
Thank you very much, Chair. Just a few questions, Pastor Ngwira. The first one is on the mandate. Section 4F, I think, it was referred to by the Chair as well. And also you being one of the people that are involved in drafting of this, I'm sure you are quite aware of it. It mandates your service to protect VVIPs. And given the statutory duty, I just want to find out, did your institution have a specific security and risk assessment for the Vice President, the travel to the North on 9th? Is it on 10th June?
No.
Where your office, was it expected to do the assessment as an institution with the Vice President being a VVIP with an intention to travel from Lilongwe to Mzuzu? Were you not expected to do an assessment?
Chair, upon request, we do, and we were doing. The challenge, that's why I was referring to the political history of our system, because when we have tried to be proactive, it has been construed as if you are trying to spy on us. So on request, and a lot of systems have requested, Reserve Bank and everybody, and we have deployed those operations and assisted. Thank you.
Now, you've mentioned so much about, your concern, the paramount concern is where there is a threat to national security. Is that correct?
Very correct.
Now, were you aware that the platform or the aircraft that was being used to ferry VVIPs had a defective tracking system?
Chair, I was not aware, and I have ridden on that aircraft a number of times, maybe 7 times.
Were you aware that Mzuzu Aerodrome at the material time was not licensed to get any sort of plane to land on it?
Chair, we're very aware. That is why, even a lot of work was being done on Mzuzu to make sure that it gets to a point that it gets licensed. But for a Donia can land even on a football ground if it is long enough.
Yes, but I just wanted to see whether you were aware that...
we were aware.
Now, would operating or ferrying a VVIP, including the President, in a plane with a defective tracking system qualify as a threat to national security?
It could, especially if it is operated by civilian actors. But this plane was operated by the Malawi Defense Force.
Again, would allowing the head of state or even the VIP to land on a unlicensed aerodrome or airport, would that qualify as a threat to the national security?
Chair, I think the national security does not include taking away the prerogative of experts who handle those platforms. Because I'll be commenting on something that I am not competent technically to comment or to comment on. Because the military, from the time of Camus, they are the ones who have handled aircrafts by the VVIPs from Camus up to now. And they have always done well. Of course, this is an accident, and probably the first one where VVIP is involved. Very unfortunate, but for me to, I can't commit to such a declaration. It would be, how do I put it? It would be me not being truthful.
as your former institution, which you headed, was it not necessary that you should be aware of the state of the platform or the aircraft that carried the VVIPs, so that you can give proper advice regarding the safety of the occupants?
Chair, let me put it this way. Government does not spy on government unless you have picked up a very evident serious threat to national security. Maybe you have information that the military want to take over government. But also, that is one of the reasons why I've referred to the critical importance of the National Security Council. Because these things are supposed to be brought on the table where all the service chiefs are there, and you know the challenges there, you know the challenges there. So unfortunately in our system, it depends on the goodwill of people sharing information or ad hoc arrangements. So it will be expecting to, and remember, in terms of even the service, and I wouldn't want to go, in as much as we improved even the numbers, you know, very exponentially, the numbers were still very much below, you know, by so much percentage. I don't want to, because it would be like exposing, you know, challenges and the like, you know. So you must still bear in mind, just like the military, you know, this is a service that was operating within an environment of serious challenges, resource-wise and everything. But a lot of that information normally comes where there are structures established by law, like the national security, that obliges systems or services to share this information on the open table, so that even the leadership at the top there understands these things very well. Thank you, Chair.
Finally, did you, as an institution, whether you personally or your officers, ever report the status of Mzuzu airdrome not being licensed, and that being a danger to the VVIPs?
Chair, not just to the VVIPs. That's one of the reasons why Malawi Airlines and the other commercialized were not flying there, you know, because it was not in good state. Even the efforts to improve it and so that we open up the channel there in the north was coming partly, not wholly, but partly from some of our reports. But we must all understand, this was a military aircraft. The only military aircraft that was bought for VVIPs was that Puma. You know, before, and the time of Kamuzu, he had the Puma, he had the jet. The jet was for long hauls, and the Puma was for local running. After the Puma was grounded, the VVIPs basically were borrowing the aircraft, which under normal circumstances they're not supposed to be using. You know, so, and yet at the same time, you wouldn't expect the military to say, no, you can't use it. You know, it's in our environment that we operate in. And you know, at the rate of how we change the commanders of MDF, you know, here, you know. So that's what I can say, Chair.
Oh, finally, so from the evidence or from the testimonies that we've heard that this plane, the ill-fated plane, did not have a tracking device, commonly known as ELT. At the time of the accident, both the pilots did not have updated medical certificates, records. Where the plane was going, the aerodrome was not licensed. All these were, so who should be held accountable for allowing this aircraft to ferry or to travel around ferrying VVIPs?
Chair, let me respond this way. Unless it is critically important that we force matters to find somebody accountable. Because sometimes an investigation must be that how do we improve so that this never happens again, you know? Because sometimes you may ask yourself this question: did any of these cause the accident? Because you may be finding accountability maybe on a peripheral issue, you know. That is why every accident, type of accident, whether it's a fire accident, aircraft accident, homicide, whatever, has got its own experts that look at the critical issues. My advice here, Chair, when it comes to such questions, you need to take a leaf seriously from the report that the German Aviation Authority did, because they are the experts. We don't even have that expertise in Malawi to see what critical things are looked at in aviation accidents. Otherwise, instead of healing, we may just be perpetuating this. Now I speak as a national security advisor. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you.
Dawa Kasangas and then Lilong Moody. Okay, can we just let the others exhaust? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Chair. I have just one question for the former Director General. Did you gather any information relating to the cause of the accident in question?
Chair, we are tempted. I should say that, you know, we are tempted, but by the end of the day, it is in the attempting where sometimes you learn how much incapacitated you are, to not because you have not done enough to have that capacity, but that capacity is not supposed to have to be in your system. That is why for us, we dwell so much on the how do I put it, the German report. Of course, some people, there were information that maybe, you know, the principal, you know, wanted by all means to go to the funeral, you know, so they were trying to land in Chikangawa, but that would be speculation without any proper evidence, you know. Yes, it's because to say that we gathered any tangible information to the cause of the accident as National Intelligence Service would be lying, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson. It's just a few questions for confirmation for record's sake. Former DG, I would want you to confirm. If you want to add any comment, you can add, but would you confirm to this committee that the information you have is that the search started around 11 when the aircraft did not arrive in Nzuzu? Can you confirm to that, or is that correct?
I cannot confirm the exact time, to be honest. But it started immediately. They noted that the plane has not returned to Lilongwe, because it seemed like there may have been information that the plane is returning to Lilongwe. But looking at their timing, that is why they constituted the Joint Aviation Command Center, which is the normal practice in an aviation accident. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. That will help us. The second confirmation I want is, did you actually tell this committee that your office, when you were there, you offered the office of the VP to have NIS staff, but you never got a response as to agree to that offer or not? Did you tell us that?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Thank you very much. And the third one is, I want to ask you if you are competent enough to tell this committee on how military aircrafts operate, because we have been taught they operate different than civilian aircrafts. So are you competent enough to tell us about the airports where military aircrafts are supposed to land
or the tracking device that is supposed to be on the military aircraft. Are you competent enough to tell us that?
Chair, I am not competent.
Thank you so much. Chair, my last one is a comment. I think on the issue of phones by the VP, the former VP, late Dr. Chilima, we have only had one evidence from in this committee that the phones did not go to the madam in time, but we have it on record that at the funeral ceremony, the relative of the late Vice President made mention about the funds and the property that it has been given to them. So I think it will be up to us as a committee to further investigate it instead of using that as a basis of our evidence and then ask more questions about why it did not happen. I thought I should just make that observation and appeal to you, Chair, if we could actually get more evidence about the funds themselves instead of maybe making some comments that will make people think otherwise. Thank you, Chair.
Sure. We can't be conclusive because we haven't gone to search and rescue, where we will look at a chain of custody of funds and property and everything else. So, yeah, at this stage, nothing is conclusive. Thank you. Okay, so can we just be very brief now for you guys that are making supplementary? I need the chair, the vice chair to finalize. So Mwanza and then Deza and then there's Zach Mayani.
Chair, just a supplementary on the safety and risk assessment. Is it mandatory or you do it? I want to confirm because I think I got it that you are, if you are requested to conduct a safety and risk assessment. So I just want to be clear whether it is indeed upon a request or you are mandatory as an intelligence department to assess the risk or safety issues where the VVIP is going to.
Chair, let me put it. It's either. It's not either way, but both ways. For example, where he was going to Nkarabe, basically officers will be on the ground. If they pick up anything, they will engage with the team that goes advance for the VP side or anything. Now, it is mandatory, where possible, to protect the VVIPs. Now, the nature of the protection, that is within the tradecraft or the modus operandi or concepts of operation of the service. Now, on request, there are specific areas, especially because of the dynamics where officers were not actually placed within his office. Because the normal system elsewhere, his officers must actually be placed within his office, and the actors, they interchange. So, but with the lack of that, people worked, and a number of times that has been actually, acknowledged that we have done that. But the environment, to be honest, even I wouldn't want to mention the current environment because I'm not involved. But looking at where we are coming from, it has been a difficult environment. But it has to do with our political system, not the two offices. It's our political system in its entirety. Sometimes the two offices wouldn't be having the challenges that they have if it wasn't or it isn't for the environment or the way we are politically structured as a nation. Thank you.
Yeah. Last one, Chair. You have mentioned political environment, you've mentioned it several times. What was the political environment? Can you tell this committee? Because you've mentioned it that several times that because of the political environment, Can you explain what was the political environment?
Let me be blunt, because I've been sometimes in one or two meetings where the vice president is there and I'm there. What we picked up was that some leaders in the UTM would be trying to convince even the VP, even to get out of the alliance. And this started quite early, 2021, And some leaders in the MCP would be trying to convince President Chakwera that let's kick them out of the alliance. So when I speak of political environment, it's not just the two people, because they're operating in an environment. Now, Chair, let's be honest with each other. For 31 years, this country had no vice president. The first time we had a vice president was 1994. My take from a national security perspective is that we are yet to grow into a system that knows probably even laws have to change, because there are countries, they say, where they have the deputy president has specific function, like in South Africa, where he handles parliament and things like those. So these are conversations, Chair, that maybe it will be stretching from the point of view of your committee, because what transpired after the accident it's also very important, in as much as us looking at the accident not happening again the way it happened, or the way the search and rescue happened, because there are questions we are not honest to ask each other about in the political environment we are operating in. I thought, Chair, that's what I basically meant.
Yeah, Chair, that's what I wanted to find out. So the political environment, you want to confirm that you picked that there were people in MCP, leaders, who were saying let's kick them out of the alliance, and there were leaders in UTM who were asking the late Chilima to get out of the alliance. You picked that as an intelligence director.
Obvious, and I believe not only me, even members of the public. It was very obvious.
I think.
That's why I used the word it is a given fact at the beginning, and you questioned me. So now you're confirming that there was. But anyways, besides the point, it's good that we're interacting freely, and I appreciate that. Okay, good. Can we just one more so we conclude? Right.
Chair, thank you very much. I just wanted to get some parting statements. And you bear with me, there are about four lines that I just wanted to get a clarification from him. Some of them were supposed to be actually asked in the beginning. So I just wanted you to understand your background. You said you've been with NIS since 1997. Did I got you correct?
Yes, Chair.
When did you finally leave NIS?
I left NIS in October 2025. But Chair, on and off, because I am one of those species that has been fired and rehired frequently by the government.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to understand some technical terms. We are saying National Intelligence Service. Is this a spying agent, or can you describe it? Is it a spying agent?
Chair, maybe there comes a time for certain things to be demystified. When you say intelligence, it's simply processed information, and more than 95% of the intelligence information, the source is public information. Only that the intelligence officer has the science, because intelligence is a science. There are countries like in Kenya, they even have a university where people do PhDs in strategic intelligence analysis and all other things. So how you process, because you have to triangulate, correlate, is this true? Because a proper intelligence system does not report lies. You can't be disinforming your principles. You disinform an enemy. Now, for national intelligence, normally what we call espionage, where you have to spy and deploy certain intrusive mechanism, is usually 2, 3, maybe at the stretch 5% of the intelligence information. Majority of the information is in the public domain. But when it is gathered, it has to be processed for decision making mostly. I hope I have assisted, Chair.
I just wanted to understand from that point to say, what's the difference between what you do and the police CID and others who do a similar way. What's the difference between the two of you? Because if I fail to understand that, then I might judge you maybe wrongly. So I just wanted to understand from that aspect. Then I shall ask my final questions, because there is a basis why I'm asking that. Thank you.
In simple terms, Chair, the CID, they investigate crimes that have already taken place. That's why in a normal, for example, like the US, they have more than 15 intelligence systems, each one, because they have the money, you know. Other countries have got 2, one for external, like Uganda and the like, one for domestic. But for us, the national intelligence, both domestic and external are in one service. Now, even the police are supposed to have their own intelligence system, besides the investigations, so that they are able to profile these gangs and what before. So certain things they can swat before the crimes actually take place. Now, for intelligence, is basically before the threat becomes a cancer, or before the threat hits and causes harm to people in the country, this must be discovered. And then, you know, yes. So, and intelligence, maybe, so Chair, you allow me the grace. It doesn't come, you know, maybe after this, maybe it will be another 90 years before one of me species comes here. Intelligence, there is operational intelligence. Who did what, and then there is a strategic intelligence. How systems are, you know, deployed. Are these systems strong? What takes for a strong nation? Those kind of things. So maybe that's what I can say, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. The background I was asking those questions is to understand in one of your statements where you said you had found out that there were these other dangerous kind of trends or threats, such that in your statement, I just wanted to make sure that I point to that statement where you are recommending to say there is need for further investigations. I think it was in your point 11, on your submission on point 11, you are saying there is need for further investigation. At the end, it would, let me read it. It would only be for fair, it would be fair if accountability would be considered by way of further investigation on who incited these developments and for what purpose, so that it should never happen again. So now I'm going back to your recommendation or your advice. At that time, you had all this information, and you stayed in office for 1 year. Almost 1.5 years. I'm trying to look at 2024, June to October 2025, almost 1 year. And you had all this information, and now you are making a submission. I wanted to understand, after you have done all this intelligence gathering, how is that information used, such that to me it's like you had an information which was never used, if I understand you well, and now you are coming to the committee to say we need further investigation. But him was the kind of the investigator, and that was the aim of their office. So that's why I'm finding it to say, why did you took 1 year? Or were there some offices which maybe didn't do their work properly as far as this issue was concerned? And finally, when you are replying to that, Chair, I just wanted to part ways on why do you still call these conspiracies? Because that's the statement you have used, is calling them conspiracies, some of the conspiracy theories. Yeah, so I just wanted him to qualify. Let me stop there, Chair. Thank you very much.
Chair, the intelligence information was used maybe not efficiently, I think that's why, Chair, I referred earlier on to, in terms of the mandate of your committee, how critical is the component of accountability, or how critical is the component of deploying redressive measures, so that some of these things don't happen, you know. But if accountability is one of them, we operate in an environment, and I keep going back to the political environment. Remember, one of the challenges that we picked up, of course, was that the accident happened 24th June. Of course, you can't use assumptions on an accident like that. But imagine if it had happened in 2021, you know, to somebody else or anybody, even the president, God forbid. But the traffic of the conversations, I don't want to call it noise, because it was not random noise, you know. It was things that, because we're entering a very politically sensitive, we're going towards the elections. And you can't fully blame people, because people take, you know, anything that is cannon fiber, you use it for purposes of electioneering. So to put it bluntly, this accident was used a lot for electioneering. If you listen to the likes of Bagini Muruzi TV, the likes of Ntanyiwa, it was serious. And some of the, of course, the figures behind there, you know, you begin to understand a certain picture. Now, one of the things that people do here is basically what they call counter-propaganda within the government systems. Now, the government system and the political party are different things, you know. Now, so for me, I say conspiracy because of what resulted, you know, in the end, that people believe certain things, that when some of us look at it and say, okay, how do people get to believe these things? But it's because of the conversations that resulted from these things, where you actually were able to notice that certain people are driving a certain agenda. Some people were honestly, you know, trying to ask questions. I mean, that you can't dissuade, and they were entitled to ask those questions. But there were a certain kind of people that were deliberate about what they are trying to do. That is what I was trying to read to. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think it's now two and a half hours gone, and we have the Vice Chairman, and then we close. Oh, yes. We had you. There's a casino. So can you have the floor? So we don't go backwards. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Chair, I'll not take. I had written so much of them, but because of time, Chair, I know we have another, so I'll not go through it. Pastor, I'm also in another world. In this committee, I prophesy and pray. In the book of Isaiah, and if you go in the book of Joshua, in the Bible, the Lord says, "Do not fear, because I'm with you wherever you go." So you, as a pastor, you know very well that we have God as our shield. Don't you think you need God as your shield in this committee?
Yeah.
If we go to your bread number 9, can we use that as a pastor? If you go to your bread number 9, where you are mentioning of a senior political leader of Afford, I know that matter was closed, Chair said, but now you as a pastor, should we still be afraid?
Can I respond, Chair? That's a challenge. Chair, I know you know, let me not go there, but I was going to say that.
No, maybe
you
just
understand the
maybe you've had a rethink. Maybe just comment.
Chair, briefly, you know, that is why a prophet is not a teacher of the word. You know, maybe let me put it that way. People may have both gifts. It's fine. They may occupy both offices. So the Bible, you can't just get one verse and run with it. Then we move people to the mountain after one verse. But basically, you also need to use wisdom. You know, you also need to use wisdom, because God has given us wisdom. You know, by the end of the day, I have very young children, to be honest. I mean, I have to tell you that even now, my pension is not paid. So later on, let me tell you the truth. Later on, I'm talking about physical protection. People may decide this man will never receive his pension. Already the noise I hear why they are not paying my pension. Sometimes they are like, okay, we wait. So we are trusting God. But I thought, I really, if I felt the committee would protect me, by the grace of God, I have nothing basically to hide.
Just, Chair, I know you're that close. I wanted to understand this senior political leader of Afford. Is it documented if the committee want to talk to the current DG rather, will be able to get the name?
Chair, the information must be there. But remember, I put a caveat because I'm a very practical person. I said, depending on the existence of institutional memory, because with our transitions how we behave. So you find that.
I got that, Chair. Yes, institutional memory, to me, you're referring to the human aspect of it.
Yes,
the members, the personnel are still there. Almost everyone who was there then. But I'm looking about documentation, because I believe this was transcribed somewhere else.
Yeah. So Chair, I'll put it this way. So we were trying to build a professional intelligence system. And I need to say this on record. That is one of the reasons, one of the battles that some of us were involved, not that we're fighting that battle, but those that belong probably to the MCP will agree with me, and we're all here. It was like, I'm not serving the interests of the ruling party, I've been invited sometimes to certain meetings. You are not chasing cadets here. I must say the truth. And the good thing is the president was very supportive. You understand? People have gone there, fire him. He's keeping cadets. But I said, I'm keeping intelligence officers. Which political color they come to, that's another issue. Intelligence has a way of handling those things. Now, what is happening now, I don't know. That is why I say, in the context of institutional memory being there, because an intelligence system must be apolitical. It is an independent state institution. It's not a department of government. I need to emphasize that.
All right, maybe let's go there, because I think that I was just coming in that time. I had some mental chair.
You're going to wind up?
Yes, I need to wind up, Chair. There are three things I want you to talk. I want you to answer me briefly in 30 seconds. You have already done much of explanation. You said the funds for the Vice President were handed quicker before further investigations. I wanted you to clarify on that one. What kind of investigations you want?
That is what I know.
Yes, so I wanted to, what type of investigation you think were never did before the handing over of that?
Like for me, like the time, maybe by the time the Germans were being involved, maybe if the phones were still in the custody of, police, because remember there was no, what you call a black box or what, and maybe the communications, you understand. But in a normal system, you don't get phones from the family members, and then you say, let's investigate. After 2 years, that is a futile exercise. Thank you, Chair.
I know in MDF there's some, I think, intelligence. How do you work with the other intelligence of the other states?
The military intelligence, we work a lot together. Even now, I know, because technically, the human trafficking and all other things, the systems work together, even with the police.
On this day, on this particular event, did you work together in MDF intelligence?
The officers were together, but the reporting channels are different.
Very lastly, NIS Act, I think do you have the Act yourself there? Well, I wanted you to read for me Section 21. What does it read? I'm interested on Section 1, not subsection 1. I know it has A, B, where it talks about certification. Can you read for me? After that, Chair, I'm done.
The Minister or Director General of the Service shall not be required to produce before Parliament any document or other evidence as the Director General certifies. As the Director General certifies. That's why I had advised Parliament to contact the NIS, but also advise the service to get in touch because of this, Chair.
Clear. The Vice Chair can conclude these questions.
Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Former DG Dokani Ngwira, good evening.
Sir.
I think one of the disadvantages of being a vice chair is that you are put at the end when everybody has asked the questions. So please bear with me if some of the questions might seem repetitive to you, but I just want to get more meat. You did start with, I think at a certain point there was a...
Zachitika kuti, zachitika nthawi zanji, kodi nanga amene wapanga ndani, musakhale nawo gulu lovutika ndi mphekesera ayi, tapangani subscribe ku Malawi Daily Headlines lero, kuti zochitika mdziko mwanu momwe zisamakuphonyeni.